Let's get right into it. The title of the talk is, you're right, this talk really isn't about you. It's basically built on communication and talking about communication. So I'll go over on this side to distract from all the work over on that side. And you see this comic where it says, your big project is running late, what can you do? And the guy's like, people are already flat out, conference calls morning and night, 6 emails a day, and half our time in meetings. I don't see what else we can do. And then she's like, what do you think this is the real problem? And he's like, I think it's a lack of communication. So you're going to see a theme about communication and how we're communicating to the end users and the industry through this whole talk. So it's like that's why I thought this was a good way to start it. I hate talking about myself. If you want to know more about me, go on Twitter because I live tweet my life, unfortunately for a lot of people, but it's to help other governments that keep track of me, so it's like I'm just trying to help them out. They're short-staffed. And you can also go to my website to see my bio and all their other information, which is actually true. But that's me on Nat Geo breaking into a bank. There's me on the news. But most importantly, you see me stealing stuff. It's like people pay me to actually go in and break into places. And I've been teaching people individually about security awareness. And about 1.5 years ago, I got tired of that. And it's like instead of going in and doing these engagements and knocking things out and it's like telling them where they're doing wrong, I decided, you know what, let's try to make it expand that. So I've gotten on that little crusade and decided to tilt some other windmills. And one of those is about trying to create more security awareness in enterprise, not just from one user at a time. So on the whole theory of communication, I think this sums up our industry really well. These are 2 quotes from John F. Kennedy. The first one on the left is, when written in Chinese, the word crisis is composed of 2 characters. One represents danger and the other represents opportunity. Wow, that's inspirational, right? I mean, seriously, because they've got them on posters in yoga rooms all over the place, usually on a lake with an eagle flying through the clouds. It's like, that's a really great quote from John F. Kennedy. He's given a lot of credit to that. It's like he's lauded for that statement. They still use it, inspirational speakers still use it to this day. There's only one problem. It's totally false. It's like, I was giving a talk in Shenzhen and I used that slide, and it's like, and it got so many laughs. Before I could even talk about it, they were laughing. It's like, because they knew that it was wrong. It's like, that is not the correct statement. But he is giving credit correctly for that. He's like, oh no, he was correct. It's like, that's a great statement that he did. That showed how intelligent he was. But he was wrong. But we gave him credit for that. Now you look at the other statement to the right, Ich bin ein Berliner, right? What an idiot. Everybody gave him crap. To this day, they still give him crap about that statement. They made fun about it. It's like it's been in The Simpsons. It's like everybody was saying, he told everybody around the world that it's like he was a jelly donut. A president of the United States would not say something so embarrassing to the world. Oh, wait, hold on. So yeah, we get to that point. And he's giving so much crap about that statement that he was wrong. There's only one problem with that. He was 100% correct. When you are from the city of Berlin and you believe that you're a part of that town, the proper usage of the word in German is Ich bin ein Berliner. That is actually the proper terminology. He said it exactly like a local person from Berlin would say it. If you were not from Berlin, it's like you would have been asking for a donut. But he was in the city of Berlin. He was trying to get unity for the city of Berlin. He was identifying with the city of Berlin. He said it correctly. And to this day, we still make fun of him. So we say things that are totally incorrect and everybody gives us credit and lauding us for it. It's like, and that's supposed to be okay. And then we say things that it's like are correct and people think we're crazy. It's like, so I thought it was like, yeah, that's a pretty good juxtaposition of our industry. Another juxtaposition of our industry, another good way that our industry is, and we can judge it, is based on this comic. I hate this comic. I totally despise this comic. It's like this comic shows one of the biggest problems of our industry. You got blue teamers who have an awesome SOC with, they got their Splunk and their Pew Pew maps, and it's like all their firewalls and IDS is going up, and then something happens, blame the user. You got red teamers, coming in, breaking in, punching people in the faces, showing if they have a plan or not. And it's like, and when the user falls for it, guess what? Stupid user. Why don't we say stupid information security don't know how to properly train their users? This is not the right way to do a comic. I hated this comic so much, and complained about it so much that my supervising adult, Jayson Burns, or my manager guy, he reached out to the artist of this comic strip. And we explained to him, and we lodged our complaint about it, and paid him money, and he fixed it for me. That's what it should be. If you don't think that's the proper usage of the comic, you're part of the problem. Because every single one of your users is an asset to you. Someone to help you in the situation. And if you think they're a liability, you've made them that way. It's like, because we always like to, and that's one of the things about this industry. It's like we talk about 0 days, day and night. We worry about that. We worry about the technology to come and protect us. It's like we're trying to get the technology to protect the users instead of getting the users to be responsible for the technology. We want to offload their responsibility and still blame them at the same time. How does that work? Talk about contradictory. It's like we get into this whole concept that they're like poor defenseless little creatures and stuff, who doesn't even know how to use the shift key. But then when something happens, they get full blame for it. How does that work? Because I gotta understand something for you real quick. It's like, if you want to see how quick and intuitive and resourceful and innovative your users are, take solitaire off the machine. See how quick that one comes back. You give them incentive to do something, you will see how quick and adaptive they are. It's like, the problem is, in humans, it's like we'll accomplish tasks that are required for them to do to be employed, period. Nothing else. They'll do what is required of them to be employed. It's like, that was a job. It's like, hopefully it's still not, because I feel bad for those people, okay? But times were tough in the 50s. It's like, that was the job. They did it because that was required of them. So why are we not making requirements for them to be secure? And I'm talking about requirement with consequences. How many people here have seen at work or has a job or been in a job where you had delivery drivers? It's like, cool, doesn't really matter, because it's like I'm still talking about delivery drivers. It's like, because if you hire a delivery driver on the first day of the job, do you give him the keys to the car and go like, hey, it's like you got a license, it's like I checked out, you got the job, congratulations, off on your way, here's your route. No. You explain to the delivery driver what your safety requirements are. You tell them how it's required for them to use the turn signals. It's like how they use the seat belt, how they have airbags and other defense systems in place in their vehicle, how they have to obey the traffic laws in the areas that they are in. It's like you even go so far as to put a GPS or recording device into that vehicle to make sure that they are following those policies and procedures. It's like, and then you're also putting a sign on the back of the vehicle so people can report if there's an infraction on that policy. We do that for delivery drivers. Users, we give a computer, we tell them to read a manual, it's like, or read the policies, and then let them have it. We tell them all the stuff they need to do to complete their job, but we don't tell them about the safety parts of it. We don't tell them about the security. We don't go into details. We don't make them responsible for that. The delivery driver is responsible for the accidents he causes. Why not the user on the computer? A delivery driver who wrecks a car or a delivery van the first time may have a little bit of a problem, right? Second time, I think there's some disciplinary actions. Do you think he's around after the third time? Do you think he's still employed at that company after the third time? Probably. That's a good question. Good point. But the key thing is, if a computer user jeopardizes the company's security one time, two times, three times, where are the consequences? Why are they still employed? Delivery drivers cost you thousands and thousands of dollars in damage to the vehicle. It's like you work for an HVAC company that's in a partnership with Target, you lose $300 million. Which one has more repercussions? Which has more consequences? We are making the delivery driver have more consequences and more responsibility than we give our users on that computer when they could jeopardize and lose millions of dollars in our company. But we're not giving them that responsibility. We're not giving it to them. It's not that they're not taking responsibility for it, we haven't given it to them. Whose fault is that? Is that on them or us? That's on us. Because that's not showing what their responsibility is. It's like, and you have to understand that humans normally do not take on extra tasks if it's not going to directly impact their job in a negative way. I mean, literally, I Googled excited worker, all I got were stock images. I kid you not. And I guarantee you, after every single one of those photo shoots, as soon as that camera was turned off, that model was like, God, I hate this job. You know, it's like, so we are not letting them, you can't say, oh, this is like, and if you can, make sure you don't click on links. Or make sure you're looking at the source of the emails. If we're not making an imperative to their job function, they're not going to do it. If we're not telling them that if we're not educating them and letting them know that they're part of the information security program, how can we get mad when they don't understand that? Every single one of your users is part of your information security team. Period. From the CEO to the mailroom, every single one of them is responsible for the security of the company. And they need to be made aware of that and understand that they're responsible for that, and there's repercussions if they fail. And that goes from the CEO. I made a CEO of a bank one time wear a visitor's badge because he lost his badge. That was policy. I was an a-hole. That doesn't reflect nice on me. It's like the CEO gets the credit because he wore it, because he understood that the policy was there in place, and he made sure that he adhered to it. And so every single person that reported to him had no excuse. They had to adhere to the same policy. That's how we do it. That's how we educate our users. From the executives down, we let them know they are part of the security team, and they are part and responsible for the security policies and procedures in place, and they're responsible for those. And the reason why, we don't just say because it says in the policy, we explain it to them. We make them part of our team. It's like, and we also have to discourage bad behavior. It's like, I love this. You can actually Google or go to YouTube, adorable kids caught by dad after painting themselves. You gotta love how it's not their fault. You know, I don't know what happened. It's like one's going, I think he did it. And it's like the other one's like, well, I think he did it. It's like, and the other one's, and then both like, what happened? You know, it's like, and we have that, right? You get in, you find someone, it's like there's ransomware going out to your network. I don't know. I think it was that other, you know, Bob in accounting, you know how he is, right? It's like, no one's taking responsibility. And when they do show that it's from their machine, it's like, well, I didn't know. It's like, no one told me that. No one explained to me that was an issue. It's like, did you sign the policy? Well, yeah, but I just, you know, it's like the Apple EULA, you know? It's like, who actually reads it? It's like, someone does raise their hand and say they've read the EULA, stay away from them, they got issues. But that's the problem, right? It's like, you gotta understand, you give them that responsibility. You gotta show them why things matter. We can't just keep going and saying that it's like, this is the policy, the procedures, you have to adhere to it. We've got to show them why there's repercussions. We got to show them why it matters. And another thing is this whole attitude, oh, I am thirsty, thank you. It's like, another thing is, how are we actually doing that? It's like, look at, I love this because this is like from a couple weeks ago, right? Wasn't this funny? Kanye West passcode was 000000. And y'all think that's like insecure. It's like, it's only 3 zeros more insecure than the nuclear launch codes that were around in the 70s and 80s, okay? Because that one was 000000000. They had 9 codes. It's like, if that makes you feel safer during the 70s, we survived, thank goodness. It's like, but I love Ponal the Thing's response to it. It's like he wrote, lots of folks will laugh at this, but I think it's a useful illustration of how security features fail when security decisions get offloaded to users who see them as annoying obstacles. If your users don't understand why the security is in place or why the technology is in place, then why should they adhere to the policy? They don't understand it. It's like if you can have all the shiny, and I do agree there's a counter argument with Ben 10 did a couple weeks ago where he said your defenses should withstand a click. And I agree with that also. It's like I agree at the last ditch effort your defenses should withstand a click. It's like you should have something, it should not be just dependent on the human. Because we have to stop depending on the human to do everything correctly. We have to have those layers. But we need to make sure that the humans are augmenting our security system and they're aware of what goes on, so when something does go bad, they can report it as quickly as possible. It's not about the breach, it's about the response. It's about how quickly you respond to it and how effectively you respond to it. Because the breach is going to breach, right? So on this one, it's like, you see that this code, it's like you show the users don't understand that. They don't understand why that's important. You give them a link and tell them that there's dancing gerbils on the other side of that link, and I don't care if that big scary box pops up in your web proxy saying, this looks like it's going to a suspicious site. Do you want to continue? Yes or no? No, there's dancing gerbils on the other. Yes! How is that a question? Where's your technology now? Where's your defense system? Oh yeah, you protected OSI layer 1 through 7, but I'm sorry, I'm not attacking layer 1 through 7. I stopped attacking layer 1 through 7 a long time ago. I'm all layer 8, baby. All layer 8, the human layer. Because I don't have to circumvent your technology if I can get your users to do it for me. That's where the attacks are evolving to. It's like, because at the end of the day, if you still give that responsibility and you offload that responsibility to the users without properly educating to them why it's there, they will keep failing. If you have an IDS system and you put in a snort box and you got that running, it's like you install it, get it up and running on the network, got the tap working right, and you load all the default signatures and go, done. Really? Are you really done? It's like if you don't fine-tune that, if you don't actually work on it and make sure that it's actually reporting what you want, you don't have anything. Because within 5 minutes, you're turning all the signatures off because they're too noisy. Same thing with humans. If you're not training and fine-tuning what they need to be aware of, showing them what they need to be worried about, and tell them why the repercussions are, then you have an IDS system that's on a default, and it's not giving you anything. You have to fine-tune that. They're the best intrusion detection system you're ever going to have, because they do that job day in and day out. They know when there's a variation. They know when there's something suspicious. But do they know who to call? Do they know who to email when something does occur? It's all great that you educate and empower and enforce with your employees, but do you actually give them the means and the tools to report the issues? Do they know who to contact? And quite frankly, if they know who to contact, do they really want to talk to the people that they're supposed to contact? It's like, we'll get into that a little bit later. Oh, by the way, I have a confession to make. This is not really a regular kind of rant. This is sort of like a choose your own adventure kind of thing, because I'm not going to take questions right off the bat. I'm asking you questions. And someone from the audience is going to answer. It's like, I will, spoiler alert, because if no one raises their hands, I will run out to the audience and I will pick someone randomly. And the people in Sao Paulo thought I was joking. I was not. It's like, so, and being in the back, that does not protect you. It's usually where I go first. So let's start off with some questions that I have for you guys. It's like, what is our biggest challenge in InfoSec when it comes to the users? What is our biggest challenge? I'm going to ask that one more time and then I'm going to start running. What is our biggest challenge when it comes to the users? Yes?
Helping them understand the threat. You can say this is a threat, this is what customers want, but they don't get it.
Exactly. How to communicate to the users why it's there. It's like why there's a threat. It's like they're not going to understand a DDoS or ransomware or encryption attacks. It's like they're not going to understand why passwords need to be salted or hashed or baked or cooked. It's like they don't know those things. It's like you have to talk in the ways that they understand. I will talk about it a little bit later, but that is one of our biggest challenges is communication. It's like, is there one other? Yes.
So once they have an idea about security, it's explaining or training what to do next. Sometimes the homegrown solutions don't meet expectations.
So it's like, how do we actually get them, once they understand it, how do we get them to actually go for it and actually work with it? It's like you're saying, is that what you're saying? Okay, so yeah, that's a big problem. It's like we can have all the policies and procedures in place, but we haven't taught them what they are. It's like, how are they supposed to accomplish it? It's like we can have everything put in place. It's like, you know, the funniest thing is like the Great Wall of China, right? Huge, monumental, great testament to architecture and defense. It was never breached by structural integrity. It's like it was never breached that way. It was only breached twice. Guess how? Both times. One by misdirection and an employee. It's like, you know, the other one, insider attack from a bought-off employee. Both of them, inside threats. I'm going to give one more question. It's like, we got another one. It's like you volunteered for that one. It's like I don't know what it is. That's part of the surprise. So how do we engage users to be part of the security process and not part of the problem? How do we engage them? How do we make them part? Yes? Listening. Whoa, really? Wait, we're supposed to listen to them? It's like we're supposed to listen to what their needs are and what their issues are and what things that they come up with, what they find suspicious or what they find difficult to deal with. That's a novel concept. It's like, and that's one that we also have a lot of problems dealing with, right? It's like, but maybe if we listened a little bit more, instead of explaining to them what they were doing wrong, and listened how they could do things better and more efficiently for them and meet their needs, so we're not a hindrance to avoid, it's like we're actually an ally to be there with them, maybe our jobs would be a little bit better. But listening to them, whew, right? Yes?
Tone at the top, like your bank example.
Huh?
Tone at the top, like your bank example.
Exactly. One of the key things, if that CEO, and he was saying the tone from the top, it's like upper management buy-in. It's like a CISSP question, you know. It's like upper management buy-in from the security process is integral, whatever that word is, right? Is it important? It's like, because if that CEO would have said, nah, I own the company, I'm the CEO, I don't really need my badge, every person that reports to him no longer has to have their badge because they report to the CEO. And then every person that reports to them doesn't need their badges because their boss doesn't need their badges and they're doing important work, and you've got no security policy. If your CEO is not willing to adhere to the same security policy he's telling the mailroom to have, you have to inform them. It is part of your job responsibilities to inform them that he has no security policy. If it can be circumvented by one, it can be circumvented by all. You have to get upper management buy-in to the process, even when it's inconvenient. Now, another thing is, how are we actually, what are we securing? It's like nothing shows incompetence. It's like, and the best thing is like nothing shows incompetence and not actually understanding what you're supposed to be doing than the TSA. Thank you very much. It's like, luckily I drove here, but it's still true. Because how does your business make money? How do you make money? How do you actually, what is required via the network for you to make money? Can your email be down for 5 minutes and you still make money? Can your email be down for 5 days and still make money? Can your email be up and your website down and you still make money? If your database is lost, does that ruin your company? If your customer records are lost, do you still make money? What is actually required for you to still make money? What does your business do? How they do it over the day? What is integral? Do you understand all those questions? Have you talked to every department and figured out what their process is, what their business process is, and what is required for them, and what needs to stay internal and not be breached? Where are the crown jewels? Where are they at, and what are the defenses around them? Do you know those things? If you don't, everybody's got a homework assignment, right? Because that is a requirement for you to have and to understand if you want to actually be protecting your company. Because if you don't know how your company makes money, how are you protecting your company? That's like going through the TSA and them. And I was just coming out of this last trip, and a guy was complaining to me that there was he had a little necklace thing, a little charm on his bag in the shape of a gun. It was this big, the shape of a gun. Yeah, he lost it. Because they were afraid he'd be going like, We're going to Honduras now, you know, it's like, turn the plane around. I literally got a USB grenade confiscated. And it's like, because it looked like a grenade. It was this big. I still carry a USB grenade now with me when I travel. I just take the top off. It doesn't fit the pattern, so it's okay. That's the stupidity of not understanding what you're protecting. It's like, and having your default go to signatures instead of any kind of critical thinking. If your employees and your security are not doing critical thinking, they're just going based off signatures or what policies or procedures are, guess what? You don't really have that much of a security program. It's like you have some great stuff on paper, but when it comes to execution, you've got a problem. Another thing is, did I skip one or did we go? Wait, nope, I didn't. Okay, another thing is like, how do we communicate to our users? How do we communicate to our executives? Security has to build a rapport with the executives and the users before a breach happens. When I started out in information security, I was an a-hole. I was horrible. I did a lousy, lousy job for my employer. I had just come from physical security and law enforcement, so it's like I treated every user as a potential perp, right? It's like people didn't learn security, they learned how to avoid me. That's not security. They learned how to make sure they didn't screw up so they wouldn't have to deal with me. If that's the kind of environment that you have, you're not hearing anything from your IDS system. It's staying quiet because it doesn't want to interact with you. So you need to build a rapport before something bad happens. If the only time they see you is when something bad, you're just negative. When I worked on the gang task force, I guarantee you, I met people on the worst day of their life every single day. Either something horrible just happened and I showed up, or I showed up and something horrible is about to happen. Okay? It was never a good thing. It's like I go to a lot of conferences, people still feel the same way about me, but still, it's like, it's never the best thing. But with information security, it's got to be different. They've got to know who you are and that you're there to help keep them employed. It's part of your job to make sure they still have a job. Because if they get breached and you lose all your data, people lose jobs. If they understand that you're there to help protect them, not just get them, they will help you. You have to teach them that. You have to show them. Do lunch and learns. Do classes. Show them in your newsletters on how to secure their Facebook settings, how to watch their children online to make sure that they're staying safe and their privacy settings are set. Show them that you're trying to facilitate them to learn to be better at security. Surprise, they still won't care about your data, but they'll be more security conscious and they bring that to work. That's what you have to do. You have to teach your users that you're there for them. Not there to report them, not there to clean up after them, not there to get them in trouble, but you are there for them when something goes bad. And they will start talking to you. They will be more available to you to talk to. It's like you can't just show up every time something bad happens. You know, I'm cute and adorable right now on stage, but I guarantee you when I worked at the bank, and it's like I would walk into a place, people are like, oh crap, there he is. That's that weird hacker dude. It's like, this is not a good thing. And it really wasn't usually. But I also showed up to the networking side and I talked to them. I gave them conversations. It's like I actually tried to make it where it was like I was trying to build a rapport with them. And that's pretty hard because these were networking guys, right? But still, I did it. Old wounds, sorry. It's like, but you know, I did that. And that's what built up the rapport. That helped me out in the long run. It's like, and security must realize that communication is how humans get patched. Another really witty quote. Social engineering, because there's no patch for human stupidity. Wrong. There is a patch. The problem is you can't buy a blinky box for it. The problem is it requires effort. So instead of having effort, we have jokes. And instead of having responsibility, we get to shrug it off and put it to someone else. We shift blame. The patch for human stupidity is education. That's what it is. We have to take the effort to educate our users, make them invested in the process, and that sucks. And that's hard. And that is difficult. And that's the reason why we keep getting compromised. And that's the reason why people keep clicking on links. It's not the sophistication of the attacker. I tell people, social engineering is so easy, I can do it, okay? I got into social engineering so I wouldn't have to be technical. Because I'm going after the humans who aren't being patched. And that's why they succeed. It's an effort. So instead of laughing off your employees, educate them. Then you patch them. So, another question time. What is the biggest impediment you're facing in doing a more effective job? This is one that usually everybody's quiet on. I randomly, and I warn you, I randomly selected one person, their boss was sitting right next to him. It's very awkward. It's like, I didn't care. It's like, so, yes. Figuring out where to start. That's a good one. It's like, where do you start to create all this? And you know what you started with? A newsletter. Start it with, how many people know about the iOS 6, or iOS 6, wow, I'm old. iOS 12 update. I was half off. It's like the iOS 12 update, right? Have you sent an email out company-wide telling your users, like, oh, by the way, Apple just came out with a new patch. This is fixing some security vulnerabilities. You should patch it? Because that's actually effing useful information they may want to know. That's something that pertains to them. When the FBI sent out last month, everybody should reset their home routers. Did you send out an alert telling oh, by the way, the FBI sent out an alert to everybody telling them to reset their home routers if you didn't know? Did you send that to your employees to let them know, hey, to keep you more secure at home, you're going to want to do this? And guess what? You're actually giving them actionable information and intelligence that they can use for their home life. That shows that you're facilitating them being secure, that you care about their security. We really don't. But still, it appears that way, and that's perfect. When you start teaching them to be more security conscious at home, they bring that to work. They're never going to care about your data. Stop getting employees to try to care about your data. Get your employees to be more security conscious at home. They bring that to work. And that's what counts. So that's one of your biggest things, is starting with just email alerts. Starting up is like, do you have an website, an internet site? Do you have a page that actually gets updated? I've seen internet websites from users for security that are like 6 months old. Oh yeah, that makes it look like I care about security, right? It's like, I better watch out for that MSO 867 that seems to be going around. It's like, that's something well, actually, you still have to worry about that one, unfortunately. But still, it's like, it's like you have to update it. You have to keep it viable and show them, and they have to know where it is. You don't send an email company-wide saying, click on this link for security tips, okay? I've used that before in an attack. It works very well, but you don't want to get your employees trained on that, okay? So it's like, you need to educate them, and you need to start off with just by giving them information that is actionable to them. Get them invested in the security policy. Let them realize that you're just not there when something goes wrong. Here's another good question. It's like, so what is your biggest accomplishment as it relates to creating a more secure environment at work? Everybody raise your hand at once. Okay, this is like the easiest one to answer. Unless people are worried that I'm going to call you out on it, but it's like, I'm not usually going to call people out. It's like, you already answered one. I want to make someone else have a horrible day. Yes, Kat. Huh? Users trust you. That's important. How did you get users to trust you? Whoa. Okay, for those of you who didn't hear it, though you still probably don't believe it, she said users trust them. It's like, because they're nice to them. That's novel. Okay. I guess that's one way to do it. It's like, haven't heard that in very many environments. It's like, that's the first time I heard that answer. You're actually nice to them. It's like you're actually treating them like they're part of the team. Wow, it's amazing what happens when they actually feel like they're a part of something instead of the problem and the reason for things going wrong. Wow, that's a novel idea that everybody should be doing, and should already not be a novel idea in 2018, but still is. So that is a great accomplishment. So another thing is, I'm gonna keep going. I got a lot more rant to do. How do we approach the problem, humans versus tech? I've talked a lot about blinky boxes will not save you. Period. Sorry, all the vendors here in the room. Sorry. It's like, I mean, they got new blinky boxes. They got blue lights instead of the red ones. It's like, it's really cool, matrixy. I mean, I love the blinky boxes, okay? Don't get me wrong. It's like, but that's not going to save you. It's like, unless it is supposed to augment what you have, the best resource you have. It's to augment your security. It's to augment your users. It is an added layer of defense for your users. If you think that's the solution, you don't know what the problem is. That's period. That's just the way it is. You have to start getting technology in there that helps augment your users, not trying to replace them. It's like you have to get the technology in there that helps them. Your company should survive a click. Your company should also be advised and aware and relying on their employees to know when not to click. And if you only have one and not the other, you have a deficit. You have to have both. Stop saying it's an either-or situation. It is not. It is only a both total sum game. How do we show risk and ways to affect change? It's like, how do we do that? How do we show risk that affect change? It's like metrics. One of the biggest problems I get, people coming up to me and telling me, it's like, well, my executive doesn't understand. It's like, my executive doesn't understand what the problem is. They don't even know what we do. Whose fault is that? It's like, do you know what kind of metrics that you have available to you to give to your executives? How many firewall hits do you get every month? 5 billion. Freaking record it. How many IDS signature hits do you get? 100 million. Record it. How many spam emails get into your mail gateway and are stopped, and then what ones go through? Record it. How many systems are patched currently and up to date in your environment? Record it. Put it in metrics, put it in a pie chart. Everybody loves pie, right? It's like, and show that every month to your executives. Give them numbers. That's how they speak. Executives do not need to understand how you think or how you talk or your terminology. You need to talk to your executives in the way they understand. They don't need to know the terminology that you understand. It's not their job. It's your job and your responsibility to teach the executives in ways that they can make actionable, intelligent decisions based on the data that you're giving them. So tired of freaking speakers coming up here telling me about the not fleds and the jump popping the shells and like using all these great terms, and they look really, really smart. If I can't take anything away from that talk, you wasted my time. If you go into a management meeting and you tell them what the problems are and what's going on and the issues, and they leave out more confused than when they came in, you wasted their time. You need to be able to explain the subject and the topic in a way that the person in the back can understand it. No offense to the people in the back. But it's like, that's the way it works. You got to be able to explain those things in the way that I'm a high school dropout. If I don't understand what you're talking about, how am I supposed to implement it? Seriously. That's what needs to be done. And how do we battle the constant fatigue with dealing with the users? It's quite simple. It's like what we do there is we do one simple thing. Gamify it. Stop expecting users to do the right thing because it's the right thing. Who does that? It's boring. Trust me, I've tried it before. It's like no one wants to do that. Make them incentivized to do the right thing. Gamify your situation. If a person reports a suspicious email to security, they get one entry into a drawing. Can your company afford $4,000 a year? $1,000 a quarter, there's a prize. And everybody who has reported an incident or done something security related that's gotten an entry is eligible for that prize every quarter. For a $1,000 prize. That's pretty good. That's pretty pricey for someone to be able to get that. It's like, that's a good thing. It's like if you report a suspicious person piggybacking off you and you stop them, that's maybe 2 entries. You report to the security an email phish that actually was an actual phish, you get 3 entries. It doesn't matter how many entries people get, you've got a fixed prize. The only difference is you have more and more people participating. A friend of mine told me how he had a gamification system at work where they've got it in place, and guess what happened? Lady reported a suspicious email attack coming from a coworker, and guess what? That coworker system was compromised. The intruders were actually in the network, and they were trying to escalate their privilege and pivot off that workstation. Did she know that? When they asked her why she reported it, her honest to goodness answer was, oh, I just thought it was part of the game, and it's like I was just trying to get another entry into the sweepstakes. Seriously. She had no clue. She just wanted another entry. She saved them millions of dollars because she wanted to get an extra entry. I think she won that month. It's like, it's like, I would let her win that one. It's like, but she didn't do it because she was security conscious. She didn't do it because she was responsible for the data of the company. She did it because there was something in it for her. Gamify your users. Make them part of the process. Make them want to participate. Make them want to be more security conscious because they still don't care about your data, but there's something in it for them. Oh, and I have one quick confession before the talk's over. The whole part where the title of my talk was, it was not really about you guys. Well, I lied. Our industry has to get better. It's like, and we don't get better by building more blinky boxes. We get better by having our users be part of the solution instead of thinking that they're just part of the problem. And if you go to work and you think that you're dealing with a hostile work environment, it's like, wait till another country's in there playing around in it. So make them part of your team, because they are. It's like, period. Done. End of rant.